Hey, the name's Bobber, and this is my new podcast. Let's go. Welcome to Squirrel Brain Banter, or SB for short, obviously. As the name suggests, I have a brain that's a bit all over the place, and so will the content be on this podcast. Sorry if that's disorienting, but as anybody with ADHD, it's hard to stay on one thing at a time without getting bored and completely disinterested. So let's start out with why I am starting a podcast. Well, I'm going to start out by saying I've never actually wanted to start a podcast, which is a really weird way to start. I currently have a YouTube channel, which I was posting on a few months ago, but completely lost interest in and gave up. And then fast forward to about last month, I found myself in the middle of a youth teaching series that was supposed to be 1 week. But when I started the series, it turned out that I couldn't get away with just 1 week. So the series was on Disney villains, which you might think, as a youth worker in a church, Disney villains are kind of a weird thing to start on and to teach about. Because why would you teach about the bad guys? Well, I had this thought where I want to make a connection between the most notorious Disney villains, Gaston and Cruella and Maleficent, connect them to the humanness, and make the connection that with a few wrong turns, with a few missteps, we could end up just like them. When I was starting this outline for this teaching, it quickly became clear, with the help of our youth worker coach, that this 1 week, this one Sunday teaching, was going to be a multi-week thing. I tried to ignore that. I tried to say no, I could fit it all in 1 week, but I realized no, that's not possible. So I had two options. One was to kind of do this over a few weeks, separately, or to do it all together. I opted for doing it all together because it just seemed a lot easier that way, and I wanted to get all of this information out because I felt like it was relevant to the group at the time. So I started the ambitious task of outlining each character, summarizing each character, coming up with key points for each character, and then I realized, how am I actually going to teach this? I had a kind of a general plan. I knew what I wanted to teach on, but I had no idea how I was going to teach this live in front of them. I do not typically like speaking in front of folks, and especially nowadays, I take Adderall for my ADHD, and when on Adderall, I get a really dry mouth when I'm speaking for a long period of time. And a big part of my teaching was this summary piece where I summarize the character before I teach on their key points. And I thought to myself, I'm not going to want to do this out loud in front of them because my mouth is going to get dry and it's going to get distracting and I'm going to lose my mind in the middle of them, which I've done before, kind of. Anyways, I was sitting there about the Saturday before the Sunday I was going to teach. And, well, I kind of thought to myself, it's Saturday morning, 9 a.m. How am I going to do this? It needs to be a voiceover. Oh my God. Now I got to make a voiceover, record it, write the script, all of that, edit it, find images to go with each line of text I'm saying, and then put it all together before tomorrow. So here I was on a Saturday. It's 9 a.m. I start this project, and about 1:30 on Sunday morning, I finally get to a point where I'm finished for that day. I've gotten everything done. It's just cleaning it up later, and exporting it. I bring it to the class, or I bring it to youth group. I show it to them, and it turns out to be pretty good. They enjoyed it. I got their attention. Everything was kind of how I was hoping and picturing it would be, not knowing if they would get it. But it worked. It worked. They liked it. And so all I had to do was do that 2 more times. I went pretty all out with this project. I did the voiceovers, I did the script and all that stuff. But while doing the voiceovers, I was like, I can't just make this a, a simple sort of thing, because I'm not a simple sort of person. If I'm going to do something, I'm just going to go big, or just don't do it at all because I'll get bored. And so I'm like doing accents, I'm doing like loud expressive voices, and there I was, and then so I'm like putting it all together, and all of a sudden I'm like, well, I can't just like, be me talking and have the images going there. It's going to be boring. So I need to have some like background music. So I go into there and find some background music and whatnot. Finding background sound, because of course you got to have like a scream effect if someone's falling off a cliff after they've tried to stab somebody, but that's besides the point. So I had to do all this stuff, put all these videos together, and after the third week, the teaching was over. I had dismissed them; they were all gone, or they were like all free to go. And they all kind of came up afterwards, and they were like, can we watch the video again? So I was like, okay, I put a lot of work into it. Yeah, but sure, why not? So I played again, and as I'm playing it, I have all these kids saying like, oh my gosh, like this was the best teaching ever. Like you need to, like, I wish we always had this, or, yada, 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 all these things. And they were like, you have a crazy, like, your voice is so expressive. You need to start a podcast. And I was like, I'm never going to start a podcast. And they're like, no, man, you need to start a podcast. Like your voice is so awesome. It would be a good podcast. And I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. So I walk away, I leave church that day. I'm kind of just like out of it. And I get home, I start thinking, and I'm like, no, I'm not going to start a podcast. I tried a YouTube channel and that didn't even work because I lost interest. Why am I going to start a podcast? But then why I'm like telling myself I'm not going to start a podcast, I'm like, oh, I'm going to start, making the icon for this podcast and researching like, what some good gear would be, and going back to making more icon work and all that stuff. And I'm like thinking, so I kind of like get to this point where it's a couple days after church, and I've like created a whole like icon for like the cover art sort of thing. And I was like, crap, I think I might could start a podcast. Also rewind to, I think right after this happened, right after my last teaching, we went off to Disneyland, and I was talking to some friends on the way up there, and they were like, oh yeah, like one of them was like, I would be on your podcast. And I was like, okay, am I actually going to do this? But I was still kind of like not totally sure on it. By the time we got home from that trip, I started, drawing out icons and cover arts and stuff, and just decided, you know what, I think I could do it. I don't know what I'm going to do here. I like the idea of having some content that has to do with ADHD type things, because there's a lot out there on it, but there's also a lot not out there on it. And as someone who has gone through the process the last year of figuring out he had ADHD and then trying to find help after the fact, that's just been stupidly hard. And I would like to figure out, I don't know, I'd just like to talk about that. Figure out there's probably more people out there like me that have like gotten this diagnosis and like go, well, what the hell do I do now? And that's still where I'm at about it. I got this diagnosis in August of last summer, and I had a really positive experience doing that, and I felt like that person who went through the whole diagnostic thing actually understood me, which is like surprising because I've never had someone like understand me like that. But then after that, I was sort of just like, okay, well, what next? What do I do now? I have to find like medication. I have to find like a doctor and all this stuff to do. And so I started that whole process. I've been on a process of like trying medication and whatnot. That has been interesting and not totally helpful. I'm still in the process of trying to find some sort of like therapy or coaching to figure out like the I can't remember the word. Totally drawing a blank right now. Anyways, basically coaching to figure out how to life better with ADHD, how to like hack things and find a way not to like the other day, last weekend? Last weekend, I'm walking through Target. I did not take my meds that day. I was stuck out of my house because there there was this situation. I didn't want to be home. So I was like, I'm just going to go to Target and then maybe stop by the office and sit there for a while. And then I'll go to the gym and then I'll do all these things. But while at Target, I'm walking around, I'm looking at stuff. I was like, well, I don't have gym clothes. And if I'm going to go to the gym, I better buy gym clothes. So I'm like, shopping for gym clothes, some shorts or sweatpants and, a shirt and whatnot. And I'm like looking through all that stuff. I put my phone down a few times and I'm like, trying to size this up and see if that, look, does that fit me? Does this, what's the size on this? Put my phone down. I walk away and I realize, oh crap, I don't have my phone. So I'm like looking all around for my phone, have no idea where it is. I like look down at my watch. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to like ping my phone with my watch. So I do the little ping my phone thing with my watch. I find it. I hear it. It's like going, I could hear it making a sound. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to go get it. So I go find it. I look like an idiot because there's people nearby watching me like ping my phone. They're like, oh, this idiot just like left his phone, just like somewhere in the store. I'm like, okay, I gotta like not do that. I gotta just like keep track of where my phone is. So I'm like, I do that. I put it in my pocket. Again, my phone is out in my hand. I'm doing something on it. I find this other thing. I go to, try it on or look at it and put my phone down. Literally in the same area of Target. It's like still the clothing section. Put my phone down. And then I was like, oh man, okay. Like, don't forget my phone. And then I like immediately walk away. I was like, okay, I found what I need. I put it in my little thing. And I walk away. And I'm like, oh crap. I'm like halfway through the store by this point. And I'm like, oh crap, where's my phone? So I have to walk all the way back to the clothing section and do the stupid little buzz thing on my phone again, the little ping my iPhone guy. And I find it. It's like right where I left it, under like on a table next to some shirt. I'm glad there was like nobody just walking around stealing iPhones that day. Except that would have been awkward because then my iPhone would have been pinging in their pocket and be like, okay, hey bro, that's mine. I don't know why. Anyways, I pick up my phone. I go about the rest of the store because I'm like gonna buy more stuff. And I'm in the food section now. I'm looking at death water. No, liquid death water. That would be, I would not buy death water because I don't have a plan of dying today. So I buy some liquid death. I'm looking at it. I was like, there's two different things. Do I want the regular one, the flat one, or do I want the carbonated one? Obviously, I want the carbonated one because I like the bubbles and it's like different and weird. So I get the carbonated one. I put my phone down. Don't know why. Because I was looking at the two different things. I was comparing. I put my phone down. I was like, don't forget that. Don't forget it. You're not going to forget it a third time. Obviously, you wouldn't do it a third time. Put the liquid death in my little basket thing. Start to walk away, looking at some other stuff, and I realize, oh crap, where is my phone? Ah, I did it again. So I'm like back on my watch, doing the little thing, finding my iPhone, ping, and it's like happens across the store, so I have to go walk all the way back, pick up my phone, put it in my pocket again, and start that whole process all over. Luckily, by that point, I was like, okay, I am literally not doing this again. I can't just put my phone somewhere in Target and walk away like a fourth time. That would be just really ridiculous. So I find my phone. I go to walk out of the store, or I go to I'm just deciding I'm just going to go pay and leave the store now. And I didn't lose my phone again after that. I had it the rest of the time after that. Thank God. Anyways, yes, I don't know really where I was going with that. That was probably like an ADHD takeover. But yeah, that's kind of what I want this podcast to be about, is stuff like that. Living life. How do I do life? How am I lifing with the ADHD? What am I figuring out since the diagnosis? Why can't I say that word? Diagnosis. What are some things I'm trying and improving on, and what has helped or what has not helped? I could tell you, I'm not totally convinced that I love my psychiatrist right now. She is not as helpful as I would have hoped she would be. This was actually kind of a weird situation. I was supposed to try 2 different psychiatrists, but I am terrible at online paperwork. And when I was filling out the form to go meet with this one, I basically filled out a new patient form instead of a consultation form, and I ended up paying, and it was a whole thing. I was supposed to get a free consultation, but no, I signed up as a new patient, which is a new patient. And then I should have said and cleared that up and said, I didn't actually mean to be a new patient yet. I wanted to get a consultation and figure out if you're the right person, but I couldn't do that because I just don't like to I already committed in my brain, and I was like, well, now I'm committed and I have to stick with it because it's going to be awkward if I have the conversation to say like, oh no, this was supposed to just be a test. So I ended up committing, and I'm going with this person. I've been with them for a few months now, and wow, I should be like keeping my mouth on this microphone. It's going to be, whoever's listening to this is probably like, what the hell is wrong with this guy? He does not know how to do a podcast. I know, I don't. This is my first one. Yeah, so I had this therapist, not super convinced that I like want to stick with her. I am getting the medication that I'm getting medication, so we've tried that. I don't know if I love that either, or if it's completely working. I actually didn't take my second one today. I'm on it's just like the regular Adderall. And I don't know, I sometimes don't remember to take my second one. I probably should take it, but it might be too late. So yeah, don't know if I love her. There might be a process of me trying to find a new person. I don't know. Some of the other stuff I could end up talking about on this channel is like Disneyland stuff. I go to Disneyland all the time with a couple of friends, or a few friends. And that is oh so fun. I love doing it. I have a friend that does. Mike could want to be on the podcast every once in a while. We might just have some random back and forth banter of like whatever crosses our mind on that day. I really like some of the podcasts that just kind of like have these random things they throw out and start a whole conversation behind it. So I kind of want to do something like that. But other than that, I don't really know what this podcast is going to be about. So hopefully we'll kind of find something and figure it out. But I am kind of excited. I do love to like do the whole expressive voice thing. So maybe that'll like go somewhere. I don't know if obviously you could tell through watching this already that I kind of go weird ways with my voice, and yeah, I don't know. Maybe I could do some more with that. If you watch my YouTube channel, I don't know if I'm being too loud. If you watch my YouTube channel, some of the last 3 videos I uploaded, you'll see kind of like where I went with like accents. I kind of tried to do like British type accents for some reason, British-ish. It goes kind of like in and out of different things. There was one I wanted to do that was different on my Maleficent, but I just could not nail it, and I just kept kind of going in and out of different accents, which was fun. It kind of keeps the youth on their toes. They're like, what's he going to bring today? The very first episode, I remember one of them was like, dude, like, because I introduced it, I was like, yeah, and I had my friend record this. I wrote the script, and I had my friend record the voiceover, and and then I proceeded to do the rest of the video in like a weird, crazy like accent with like crazy like weird sounds and stuff. And one of the youth afterwards was like, was that you really your friend, or was that you? That was you, right? That was you. Your tone of voice sounds like you, but that accent wasn't you. Was that you? Was that your friend? And I was like, no, yeah, it was me. He was like, what? So yeah, did that. Yeah, I don't think I have much more to say. So, that's going to be the end of this podcast. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope that you stick around to kind of figure out what this is going to be about. I hope you don't get whiplash by the randomness that this podcast is going to be. I hope that you find some enjoyment in just like my general weirdness that I am. But until next time, I'll see you later. That was a dumb ending. That was kind of a dumb ending, right? Yeah. Oh well. Hey, the name's Bobber, and this is my new podcast. Hey, the name's Bobber, and this is my new podcast. Let's go. I didn't like that.